Welcome, friends, to another edition of our outreach for local charities and charitable organizations, ones that you, our client, may be interested in supporting and helping. Today we're with Kay Wilson Bolton and Susan Colwick of the Spirit of Santa Paula. Welcome, and thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Your organization is really amazing because it helps homeless people and other things that I'm sure you'll share with us today. We know it's a big problem in a lot of cities and communities, and it is in ours. And I just personally want to commend you guys for, having this outreach, having this heartfelt effort to help homeless. But we were talking earlier about how this got started. It's such an amazing story. Tell us, this started in your living room?
Her living room.
Ah, got it. Okay.
And it was actually a political motivation in a way, or a reaction. Santa Paula had gone through a very difficult land use issue and ballot measure for really Adams Canyon in Santa Paula, and it was an issue for the haves and the have-nots, and it became very difficult to maneuver that conversation in town. So one night there were 4 couples in John and Susan's living room. We were talking about what can we do to leap over this and take us to a different conversation. So we decided to form a little group that would do something, and our first event was a large neighborhood gathering at their home. And we decided to form a little group called Spirit of Santa Paula, which stands for Santa Paulans Investing in Relationships of Integrity and Trust. And then we decided to form a corporation so we could be a 501c3. That was 2002, but it wasn't until 2008, after we had done a couple of community events, bringing people together for new conversations, that we found our stride. And do you want me to go into it?
Well, I was going to ask you about that. I mean, it's amazing, 2002, and then 6 years later, as you mentioned, in 2008, there was a specific catalyst that really got this pointed in the direction that it is right now. Would you share that with us?
Sure. If you look back to 2008, terrible economy, and people were struggling, including me. I'm in business myself, and that was a really tough time. Being in real estate, because the economy was melting and our community was struggling with this very simple awareness of homeless people in our community. And they were despised, frankly.
Yeah, what a shame.
But Christmas Eve 2008, very cold, very rainy, we discovered that a homeless man had died in one of our churches.
Wow.
And I'm a chaplain with Ventura County Fire Department. I was on that call, and I discovered my friend Rudy, who I've known for years, was sitting there crying. He had just gotten fired by the pastor of the church because he had been letting people in at night, and one of them died. I mean,
boy.
You can't plan that.
No.
But as God does things, He takes a bad situation and turns it into good. And from that single event came the wind beneath our wings, and that is to do something for our homeless population, which at that time might have been 20 people in our community, very under the radar, seen occasionally, but despised.
Wow.
And so shall I go on?
No, I mean, that's just so commendable, because that's really what started what we have today, what you have today. Talk a little bit about the facility you have today and some of the services that you offer homeless people.
Well, the facility came much later because during the years of 2008 to 2019, we were kind of practicing our craft and practicing by having winter shelters at various churches. We would sleep on the floor together and cook in not a commercial kitchen, or we'd have people bring food in. We've been lucky. Never poisoned anybody.
Right.
But very much protected, and it was not a popular thing in our community, even the business community, because homeless people are in the way. They make a mess.
Right.
They don't look good. They make a mess. We all know that. So a client of mine, I'm a real estate broker for 45 years, a client of mine said, someday if you find a building that would be a good investment for me, let me know and I'll buy it. Well, Susan was trolling Zillow, I guess, and found this building and said, hey, I've got an idea about a building for a shelter. Maybe Naomi will buy it and lease it back to us. And you want to tell them what happened from
Well,
there?
and Naomi, bless her heart, she did buy it for us. And
Oh, that's marvelous.
It was just beyond words as to how excited we were. And so we knew that there would be a lot of extenuating circumstances around it, but between our immediate group and especially Kay with her background, we knew we could make it work. And with God's help, we have. So it's been quite an exciting thing to go through. We've had a couple of construction grants from the state, one when we first got the building, another one right now to do our addition and renovation. And so with me having a space planning and design background,
Right.
that's kind of where my
Absolutely.
strength was coming in.
Yeah.
So we were able to get everything up and running by December of 2019, and we had probably at least, not immediately, but about 49 people sleeping in the building. We had a commercial kitchen so that we could cook for them. We were doing food rescue so that we could provide food for the shelter, but also for many hungry, struggling people in the community. And we managed to well, we were learning a great deal.
Absolutely.
Every day was a new thing to learn.
And you shared, I mean, again, one of the questions we wanted our listeners to hear was, how many do you house? And it's right, is it that the maximum now? Is it 49 or 50?
49 is our maximum, and then we do have a couple of isolation pods.
Excellent,
too, so we
excellent.
Can, especially as we ended up going through the beginning of COVID.
Yes.
That's when we realized we had to start a year-round homeless emergency shelter, which we did in the end of March of 2020, just as COVID started.
So commendable and timely, certainly for them in that particular situation. Kate, talk to us a little bit about what are some of the other services. Obviously, shelter is important, but what are some of the other services that you offer?
You cannot solve homelessness without solving mental health issues, general health issues, food insecurities, and just basic needs. So we've tried to be, remember, we're for our community. I couldn't come to Ventura and do this now because we're worn out. But
You guys are looking pretty good.
yeah. But it's a multifaceted approach. So through our very wise and judicious monitoring of our funds and utilizing grants properly, we have 2 case managers, something that no one of us were equipped to do. We did our part, so we hired 2 women who are experienced case managers. And there's a great saying from one of the architects in our community, Santa Paula, George C. Wilson Sr., right? Senior. He said, slow work takes time.
Yes.
And that's exactly what working with a needy family or individual requires. Slow work takes time to find the confidence they have to share their information with us, to sit down and let us lead them to a primary care physician so they stop using the emergency room
very nice.
as their primary care physician. It's very, very expensive. There's a person in Ventura, for example, who has utilized your community county hospital 182 times in 1 year.
Oh my goodness.
Very expensive, and it's not productive because it's not treating the
underlying
overall problem.
issue.
It's the symptom of what they're experiencing right now.
Yeah.
So case managers will take them through getting birth certificates, simple things like ID, Social Security benefits. We have a 82-year-old woman living at the river with her son and her daughter. Daughter has had 2 children at the riverbed. How can that happen?
Yeah.
But so what we have to do is take them in one at a time. You cannot wave a magic wand and solve their problems overnight. They have to trust you first. They have to know you're in it for the long haul, and then start revealing all this information. what was so compelling about our first experience with Richard dying in the church is he was from Santa Paula, and his family's from Santa Paula. And I wondered at the time, how can it be that a 32-year-old man with family 2 miles away ends up dying in a church because he's so sick?
Right.
Well, that was part of our educational process to understand all the dynamics that come from drug addiction, alcoholism, family dynamics. You know, they burn their bridges, the family, they steal the rent,
Right.
they steal the keys to
A
the
lot of
car.
things get in the way of getting back together again.
Right, well, and that's almost not an option, so
Sure.
that's where we come in.
Exactly.
And so building that level of trust where they share information and they'll do what we ask them to do. The biggest challenge is getting them to appointments and to remember what day it is.
Wow.
So just this morning, we got a letter from the Mountain View Apartments where there were 8 apartments set aside for homeless people with specific issues. One of our people just got approved. We have been working for Joseph on his behalf for, 10 months. We have 2 people in the shelter who have been there for 2 years.
Yeah.
I can't kick them out and create a homeless person, and I can't sort of blame them because COVID shut us down, and so we've been stalled to really get where we want to go, but it takes their cooperation. It takes trust and patience and a lot of love.
Yeah,
if you don't
absolutely.
love these people, I don't mean these people, if you don't
I know
love
what you mean,
them,
yeah.
if you don't love them as individuals, you're not going to accomplish your goal or theirs,
Yeah.
and they're destined to a life of poverty. So to other services, we are big on food. We hand out through our pantries probably 30,000 pounds of food every week, and that's serving between 2,000 to 4,000 families throughout the year.
Yeah, that's
and,
remarkable.
A lot of food insecurity.
Yeah.
And if you can keep a person sheltered by helping them with utilities, car registration, dead battery, new tires, you keep them housed, because if they lose it, it's almost impossible to get them back in.
It's just those little things that we don't think about. So, and it isn't just, again, like we talked earlier, it's not just that you're giving people a place to lay their head. You're helping them turn their life around, get their life organized to the extent that you can, and hopefully getting them other help that they need so that they can get back on their feet.
Right.
Is that a fair summary of what you guys do?
And to keep them on their feet.
Right.
Because a family who's working, the rents are rising, as we know. So the family who's working has to make decisions. Do we let the tags on the car go so we can keep the rent paid, gas and lights on? Because if they lose their utilities and they're on housing, then the house is red tagged and not eligible for housing subsidy.
Right.
And now with rising rents, landlords do not want to rent to people with housing vouchers because they don't pay market rent. So an apartment that was $2,000 last year is now close to $3,000.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
no family
Right.
on this little budget that they've learned how to work with can sustain
handle that.
That's
Absolutely
right.
not.
So losing housing is terrible.
Right. Well, that's all the time we have right now, folks. Look, you guys are so passionate about what you do. That's why we're talking to you, and you're making such a big impact in the local community, particularly in the lives of these individuals that have had circumstances go awry in their lives. And, as we talk to you, and we hope you've enjoyed this, on the screen will be information to contact the Spirit of Santa Paula. And to get more information, to make a donation. If you really care about the homeless issue and helping these people get back on their feet again and lead productive lives, what a fantastic opportunity to this organization. So again, we thank you for tuning in and paying attention, and please call us at any time for any questions on tax advantage ways that you can help this and other local communities. Thank you again.